what was the challenge about this one?
Well, this one, probably the two biggest challenges are that it's a national monument, and it's the national monument, so it's a very precious bâtiment, as you say in French. And so we had to take care of a lot of things and regulations that are related to national monuments in France. And so that was one of the challenges that it was doable, it just had to take extra care. The second challenge is that the Arc de Triomphe remained open to visitors the entire time.
Wow.
So when we had to work, you see the little casquette where the orange belts are attached, and we had to make a floor of the whole roof terrace. That had to be done either at night, before 11 o'clock, or before the public is on the monument. So we really had to do a lot of logistical things that were challenging in order to get that complete. But those were the two big challenges, and the biggest challenge of it all, of course, is that Christo is not here. So
for sure.
And we miss him terribly, and it's just to have his enthusiasm, to have his energy and all that. It's something that it's a challenge too.
And what did this Arc de Triomphe represent for you?
Oh, that's for everybody else to decide. He never
What
put
did
a
he
meaning.
say?
He never put a meaning to this. He always wanted to do the project, and then the 67 million French, it means something different to most of them, and they can interpret it in their own way, the Arc de Triomphe in general, and when the Arc de Triomphe is wrapped, they can also interpret it in their own way. And Christo always said every interpretation is legitimate, and that's for the people to decide.
And what about the idea of wrapping? Did he say anything about that?
Well, that would, of course, he's talked much more in length about that, because it started not just from building. It started with little cans and barrels and objects. And
but what did he say? Do you remember?
Well, it was just to hide to spark curiosity, to hide the object, and just highlight the principal proportions of it. And he's a visual artist it was his aesthetic as well.
But he liked to do huge, right? To do
well,
big.
that grew in time. It wasn't like it didn't start with something huge.
I know.
And it's not. He would answer that it's not huge. I mean, Jean-Claude as well. I mean, the Arc de Triomphe is the Arc de Triomphe. It's a big monument, but it's not the biggest monument. They're much bigger airports. They're much bigger monuments. They're much bigger things that people build. And Christo would say the only reason why people think it's big, it's because it's useless. When Christo and Jean-Claude does it as a form of art, because it has no purpose. There is no message. There is no meaning. There is no propaganda in it. It's just, it's an object of art without any meaning.
But he was not afraid of big.
Well, that's, again, as I said, what is big? It's like, this is... But people build much bigger things, and for an artwork, yes, it's a large-scale artwork, for sure. But no, they was never afraid of that. Obviously, they did the running fence in 1976. It was 42 kilometers long.
Yeah.
The surrounded islands used 600,000 square meters of
and
fabric.
And Le Pont Neuf?
The Pont Neuf was also quite, I mean, the Pont Neuf, the size of the Pont Neuf, it exists, but it's not something that is, I never think of it as big. It's
no,
just,
but one think about...
The Reichstag was much bigger than this. For instance, if you talk about it in terms of volume and fabric, the Arc de Triomphe, we used 25,000 square meters of fabric, and for the Reichstag, there were 100,000 square meters of fabric. So it was 4 times the size. Even though the Arc de Triomphe is taller, it's taller, substantially taller. It's taller by 14 meters from the Reichstag to the towers, not with the cupola that Norman Foster later built. That became taller. But when Christo and Jean-Claude in '95 wrapped the Reichstag in Berlin, the towers are still 36 meters high. They're actually the Reichstag is at the height of the Grand Corniche of the Arc.
But what I wanted to ask is about the idea of monumentality in sculpture by Christo. This is not your technical guy, right?
No,
more than
no, it's okay. But again, it's not. It's that because it's that size. The building is that size, so we have to wrap the Arc de Triomphe. It's about the just it comes in that size, so we have to tailor make everything to fit to the Arc de Triomphe. We can't shrink it. We can't make it bigger, even though when we put the cages and all the almost 400 tons of steel that we put on the Arc de Triomphe to clean the forms, to protect the monument, to make sure that no fabric touches the sculptures and the monument. That makes it look a little gonflé, you know, because we're about, in places we're 50 centimeters, in places we're over a meter out. So
Okay.
that makes it, but that's not the purpose to make it bigger. It's also, you have to remember, it's a public artwork, so it's for the public to enjoy. You can't make something really, you can't wrap a chair and put it in the middle of the street for the public to enjoy.
Merci, Vladimir.
Yes, but